Back again on Chanel Story Friends. In this video we will discuss a film called Avatar, which was released in 2009. This film tells the story of a humanoid species named Na'vi, who lives on the planet Pandora, a planet that holds valuable wealth, named unobtainium. Humans are of course interested in the potential for wealth on the planet, so they also try every way to be able to take unobtainium in large quantities. Without lingering any longer, prepare snacks, and sit in the most comfortable place. Enjoy watching. In 2154, the Earth began to run out of natural resources, which caused a severe energy crisis. In the midst of a dense human population, we were introduced to a man named Jack Sully. He was a former soldier, who is now completely paralyzed in both legs. Even though he has limitations, Jack still tries to enjoy life by partying in a club. At that time, he accidentally saw a woman who was being treated roughly by her lover. Jack, who couldn't bear to see it, finally approached him to beat the man. Unfortunately, it made him angry. Jack was kicked out of the club because he was considered to have caused a commotion. Shortly thereafter, Jack was visited by two people and taken to a place. Jack was shown the body of his twin brother named Tommy. He was then offered a job to replace Tommy. In a study, Jack was promised a sizable fee, which he could use to treat his feet. After 6 years of sleeping in a capsule, Jack and several other people finally arrived on the planet Pandora. The Resource Development Administration, or the Resources Development Administration, or RDA for short, carried out extracting a valuable mineral called unobtainium on the planet. Pandora is known as an inhabited planet with dense forests. This planet also has an atmosphere that is toxic to humans, and is inhabited by a tribe of humanoid species named Na'vi, creatures as tall as 10 feet, blue-skinned, who live in harmony with nature, and worshipping the mother goddess named Awa. Jack is included in this mission, because he has the exact same genetics as Tommy. Because Tommy used to be one of the scientists who took part in the mission, researchers have created avatars that can be operated by humans. Coincidentally, there is also Tommy's avatar, which will be operated by Jack. There Jack became acquainted with Dr. Grace, who was the head of the Avatar program, as well as Tommy's former co-worker. Grace apparently disagreed if Jack replaced Tommy, because he was not a scientist. Grace rejected the decision to Parker, but Parker replied, they should thankful that Tommy has a twin brother, because if there is no Jack, the avatar they have developed will be in vain. The next day Jack and his colleague named Dr. Norm Spellman conduct trials. Jack's body is laid in a capsule, and his soul is transferred to an avatar.
Think it's stable.
As soon as he woke up in his avatar, Jack felt very happy, because after a long time, he finally felt that he had a pair of legs again. Jack immediately came out of the laboratory and ran happily.
Come on!
Shortly thereafter, Grace came with her avatar's body, and gave fruit to Jack. Once night fell, the avatars returned to their camp, and slept in their respective places. Once their avatars' bodies fell asleep, that's when they would return to their bodies, their respective humans. After waking up, a pilot named Trudy took Jack around to see fighter planes. Besides that, he also introduced Jack to a head of RDA security, whose name was Colonel Miles. Colonel Miles always gave Jack assignments, to always give reports to him. In return he promised to provide a pair of legs for Jack. The next day Jack, Grace, and Norm went to collect biological data into the forest of Pandora.
A dozen cows and some juveniles. Norm! You're packed!
They also went to a place, which used to be an English school, for Na'vi's children. Unfortunately now that place is unused, and only used as a storage area. When Grace and Norm were busy collecting data, Jack moved away from them, and approached a plant. While he was having fun watching the plant, Jack was suddenly approached by a Pandora animal, named Hammerhead. Grace, who saw this, then asked Jack to stay calm. Shortly thereafter, a group of Hammerheads looked scared, and ran away from there instead afraid of Jack, but they were afraid of the animal standing behind Jack, namely the Tanator. Finally Jack ran to save himself, and apart from Grace and Norm, he tried to shoot the animal but all was in vain, until finally Jack was forced to jump into a waterfall, to be free from the Tanator's pursuit. After successfully saving himself, Jack got lost in the middle of the forest. He didn't know where to go. While the day was getting darker, in the middle of the dark forest, Jack was again chased by a group of wild animals. Lucky at that time he was still saved by a woman Navi, whose name was Neytiri.
Hey, wait, don't!
Jack, who didn't know where to go, kept following wherever Neytiri went, so that annoyed Neytiri, but suddenly the sacred tree seed began to approach, and stuck to Jack's body. Neytiri considered this a sign of good luck, so he brought Jack to meet his tribe. On the way, Jack was attacked again, but this time he was attacked by Navi people led by Sute. After Neytiri explained everything, Jack was then brought before the leader of the Navi tribe, who was also his father Neytiri, named Atukan. Atukan didn't like Neytiri brought outsiders, or what they call sky people, into their group. Then Neytiri's mother named Sahik Moat comes. She is the spiritual leader, who can interpret Awa's will. From her observation, Jack was indeed sent by Awa for them, so he then ordered Neytiri to introduce Jack all about their tribe. Since then Jack gained a lot of knowledge about the life of the Navi.
Jake!
Of course it was fortunate, for the researchers including Colonel Miles, because Jack could become their informant. Parker even commissioned Jack to move the Navi tribe from their current village, because underneath that village was the largest layer of unobtainium on the planet. When Jack was explaining some things about the giant tree to Colonel Miles, Max saw it, and reported it to Grace. Grace of course didn't like the involvement of Colonel Miles, as well as Parker, because they weren't scientists. Finally Grace, Norm, Trudy and Jack went to the mountains Lulu, to prevent Colonel Miles from taking over Avatar research. The enchantment of the mountains Lulu managed to enchant Grace and the others. They finally landed at a research center there. After returning to his Avatar body, Jack was taken by Neytiri to meet an Ikran, her pet. Neytiri said, each Ikran only chooses one avatar for life. If later Jack is ready, Jack can have an Ikran who also chooses him as his parent. Over the days, Jack began to get close to the Navi people. He learned the Navi language, and all things related to their lives. Of course when he returned to his original body, Jack also reported everything in video form. In the research camp, Jack asked about what really happened at Grace's school before. Grace also told that formerly Neytiri's sister was also one of her students. She was angry because of human logging. She and several Navi then raided the mining office, and killed several people. This is what made the soldiers angry, killing Neytiri's sister and destroying the school. Even though Grace managed to save some of her students, the Navi tribe was angry, and no longer believed in humans. The next day Neytiri felt Jack was ready to have an Ikran. Jack and the others go to the mountains of Lulu, to choose a fish that will be Jack's pet. Neytiri said, the right advertisement for an avatar is an advertisement that wants to kill him, until finally Jack managed to get an advertisement, which was most appropriate for him. By uniting their hair, Jack managed to master the advertisement and flew together.
Level out!
During the flight, Neytiri also pointed out a tree, which is believed to be a sacred place for navies. After getting his pet sign, Jack and the others were even more enthusiastic about hunting in the forest. When they were hunting, they were suddenly surprised by the presence of animals, known as Torek. Jack and Neytiri struggled to escape from these beasts. Neytiri told me that before his grandfather was a Torek Makto, or a nickname for a Navi who can control a Torek. The greatness of a Torek Makto is known and respected by every Navi. It doesn't feel like Jack has been living his life as a Navi for 3 months, with love and living together with the natives. In the mine, Colonel Miles meets Jack to fulfill his promise regarding the transfer of the Navi tribe from their village. Jack also tries to ask for additional time, because tomorrow, he will be made official as a resident of the Navi. If until the appointed time Jack still fails, Colonel Miles threatens to use military force to destroy the village.
Forever.
After that, Neytiri took Jack to the sacred tree to pray. It was there that the two of them expressed their feelings to each other. They finally got married, and made sacred promises to each other to always be together. The next day Neytiri woke up, saw a bulldozer moving to destroy the sacred tree, which was around them. Neytiri tried to wake up Jack, but because his human body was still awake, so Jack remained unconscious. When Jack finally woke up in his avatar's body, he immediately deactivated the bulldozer, which had destroyed the sacred tree.
Whoa. Here, come on!
What Jack did made Colonel Miles furious. He was annoyed that Jack had betrayed them, and sided with the Navi people. He then invited his troops to go to the Lulu Mountains, to attack Jack and the others who were there. The attack also made Sute invite other Navis to attack humans. Grace tried to hold them back, because she knew Colonel Miles would not stay silent. Jack and Neytiri, who returned, also got anger from Sute. Sute was angry, because Jack had married Neytiri. Finally a fight ensued between them. At the same time, Colonel Miles and his troops arrived at the research camp. He then deactivated Grace and Jack's capsule, which made them finally wake up.
What the hell's going on here?
At night, Sute invites his troops to attack the mining center. This even triggers Colonel Miles' emotions, so he is determined to kill them all. Grace then visits the mining center, and asks Parker to end all of this. Grace argues, destroying Sacred Tree can damage the biological neural network in Pandora. Even so, Parker and Colonel Miles still don't care. They also give Grace and Jack 1 hour to convince the Navi tribe, so they can be evacuated immediately before the attack begins. Grace and Jack then tried to warn the navies, but they were seen as traitors, and finally arrested. After an hour had passed, Colonel Miles and his troops came to attack the village. They burned the sacred tree, and killed the clan leader, Adukin. Realizing this, the Fit immediately freed Jack and Grace, and asked them to help the Navi tribe. As a result of the attack, the Navi tribe finally failed to defend the giant tree, which had been their home. All residents cried, seeing what had happened. They were all forced to leave that place, and find a new home for all residents. On the other hand, Jack, Norm, and Grace, regardless of their avatars, and were detained. Luckily Trudy came to free them, and took them away from the camp. Unfortunately, when they were about to escape, Colonel Miles shot at them, and the shot finally injured Grace. To regain the trust of the Na'vi people, Jack tries to connect his mind with Torek's mind. After succeeding, Jack goes to the Na'vi tribe's refuge by controlling Torek. It also makes the Na'vi surprised and respect Jack. Jack then convinces Sute, who is now the leader, the Na'vi tribe, that he would help them to protect the residents. After that, Jack begged Moat to heal Grace. Moat also tried to transfer Grace's soul into his avatar with the help of a sacred tree, but Grace died before the process was complete.
What's happening?
Grace's death makes Jack's determination even stronger. He will use his title as Torek Makto to ask for help from other tribes and fight against humans. Knowing the great threat that would occur, Colonel Miles made the initial attack on the sacred tree. The night before the battle took place, Jack prayed to Awa so he could get help. The next day Colonel Miles finally came, with a very large army. Meanwhile, the Na'vi tribe has also prepared troops for resistance from both sides, namely from the land side, and also from the air. In that battle, casualties began to fall from both sides. The ground troops chose to retreat because of the large number of casualties from their side, including Sute and also Trady. While in the air, Jack remained the main target for Colonel Miles. When Colonel Miles' troops were almost at the sacred tree, their troops were suddenly attacked by Pandora's animals, which Neytiri perceives as an answer to Jack's prayer. Thanks to that help, Jack managed to destroy Colonel Miles' plane, which made the colonel finally fall. But Colonel Miles still manages to save himself before the plane crashes and explodes. When below, Colonel Miles sees Jack's body capsule. Colonel Miles intends to destroy the capsule. Lucky Neytiri comes at the right time, riding a Tanator. A battle between them ensues. Colonel Miles finally managed to defeat the Tanator, which eventually hit Neytiri's body. Not long after, Jack came to save Neytiri. Jack tried to fight Colonel Miles, but the colonel managed to destroy the capsule. When Colonel Miles was about to kill Jack, Neytiri managed to free herself and shot Colonel Miles to death. After that, Jack's human body shook, because Pandora's atmosphere was poisonous to humans. Neytiri, who saw this, immediately saved Jack, who was almost out of breath. Then they approached Sute's body, which was seriously injured. Sute begged Jack so he would kill him and become the new leader for the Na'vi tribe. After that battle, all humans were expelled from Pandora and sent back to Earth, except for Jack, Norm, and several other people. After that, Jack also made the last video report and decided to change himself, became the Avatar permanently, and the movie was finally over.